Judges 11. At that time, there was a Gileadite, Jephthah, a very strong man and a fighter, the son of a Kep woman, and he was born of Gilead. Now Gilead had a wife, from whom he received sons. And they, after growing up, cast out Jephthah, saying, "You cannot inherit in the house of our father, because you were born of another mother." And so, fleeing and avoiding them, he lived in the land of Tob. And men who were indigent and robbers joined with him, and they followed him as their leader. In those days, the sons of Ammon fought against Israel. And being steadfastly attacked, the elders of Gilead traveled so that they might obtain for their assistance Jephthah, from the land of Tob. And they said to him, "Come and be our leader, and fight against the sons of Ammon." But he answered them, "Are you not the ones who hated me, and who cast me out of my father's house? And yet now you come to me, compelled by necessity." And the leaders of Gilead said to Jephthah, "But it is due to this necessity that we have approached you now, so that you may set out with us, and fight against the sons of Ammon, and be commander over all who live in Gilead." Jephthah also said to them, "If you have come to me so that I may fight for you against the sons of Ammon, and if the Lord will deliver them into my hands, will I truly be your leader?" They answered him, "The Lord who hears these things is himself the mediator and the witness that we shall do what we have promised." And so Jephthah went with the leaders of Gilead, and all the people made him their leader. And Jephthah spoke all his words, in the sight of the Lord, at Mizpah. And he sent messengers to the king of the sons of Ammon, who said on his behalf, "What is there between you and me, that you would approach against me, so that you might lay waste to my land?" And he responded to them, "It is because Israel took my land, when he ascended from Egypt, from the parts of Arnon, as far as the Jabbok and the Jordan. Now therefore, restore these to me with peace." And Jephthah again commissioned them, and he ordered them to say to the king of Ammon. Jephthah says this, "Israel did not take the land of Moab, nor the land of the sons of Ammon. But when they ascended together from Egypt, he walked through the desert as far as the Red Sea, and he went into Kadesh. And he sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, 'Permit me to pass through your land,' but he was not willing to agree to his petition. Likewise, he sent to the king of Moab, who also refused to offer him passage. And so he delayed in Kadesh. And he circled around the side of the land of Edom and the land of Moab. And he arrived opposite the eastern region of the land of Moab. And he made camp across the Arnon. But he was not willing to enter the borders of Moab. And so Israel sent messengers to Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who was living at Heshbon. And they said to him, "Permit me to cross through your land as far as the river." But he, too, despising the words of Israel, would not permit him to cross through his borders. Instead, gathering an innumerable multitude, he went out against him at Jahaz, and he resisted strongly. But the Lord delivered him, with his entire army, into the hands of Israel. And he struck him down, and he possessed all the land of the Amorite, the inhabitant of that region, with all its parts, from the Arnon as far as the Jabbok, and from the wilderness even to the Jordan. Therefore, it was the Lord, the God of Israel, who overthrew the Amorites, by means of his people Israel fighting against them. And now you wish to possess his land? Are not the things that your God Chemosh possesses owed to you by right? And so, what the Lord our God has obtained by victory falls to us as a possession. Or are you, perhaps, better than Balak, the son of Zippor, the king of Moab? Or are you able to explain what his argument was against Israel, and why he fought against him? And though he has lived in Heshbon, and its villages, and in Aroer, and its villages, and in all the cities near the Jordan for 300 years, why have you, for such long a time, put forward nothing about this claim? Therefore, I am not sinning against you, but you are doing evil against me, by declaring an unjust war against me. May the Lord be the judge and the arbiter this day, between Israel and the sons of Ammon. But the king of the sons of Ammon was not willing to agree to the words of Jephthah that he commissioned by the messengers. Therefore, the Spirit of the Lord rested upon Jephthah, encircling around Gilead, and Manasseh, and also Mizpah of Gilead, and crossing from there to the sons of Ammon. He made a vow to the Lord, saying, "If you will deliver the sons of Ammon into my hands, whoever will be the first to depart from the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the sons of Ammon, the same will I offer as a holocaust to the Lord." And Jephthah crossed to the sons of Ammon, so that he might fight against them. And the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he struck them down from Aroer, as far as the entrance to Minnith, 20 cities, and as far as Abel, which is covered with vineyards, in an exceedingly great slaughter. And the sons of Ammon were humbled by the sons of Israel. But when Jephthah returned to Mizpah, to his own house, his only daughter met him with timbrels and dances. For he had no other children. And upon seeing her, he tore his garments, and he said, "Alice, my daughter, you have cheated me, and you yourself have been cheated. For I opened my mouth to the Lord, and I can do nothing else." And she answered him, "My father, if you have opened your mouth to the Lord, do to me whatever you have promised, since victory has been granted to you, as well as vengeance against your enemies." And she said to her father, "Grant to me this one thing, which I request. Permit me, that I may wander the hillsides for 2 months, and that I may mourn my virginity with my companions." And he answered her, "Go." And he released her for 2 months. And when she had departed with her friends and companions, she wept over her virginity in the hillsides. And when the 2 months expired, she returned to her father, and he did to her just as he had vowed, though she knew no man. From this, the custom grew up in Israel, and the practice has been preserved. Such that, after each year passes, the daughters of Israel convene as one, and they lament the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite, for 4 days. Judges 12. And behold, a sedition rose up in Ephraim. Then, while passing by toward the north, they said to Jephthah, "When you were going to fight against the sons of Ammon, why were you unwilling to summon us, so that we might go with you? Therefore, we will burn down your house." And he answered them, "I and my people were in a great conflict against the sons of Ammon. And I called you, so that you might offer assistance to me. And you were not willing to do so. And discerning this, I put my life in my own hands, and I crossed to the sons of Ammon, and the Lord delivered them into my hands. What am I guilty of, that you would rise up in battle against me?" And so, calling to himself all the men of Gilead, he fought against Ephraim. And the men of Gilead struck down Ephraim, because he had said, "Gilead is a fugitive from Ephraim, and he lives in the midst of Ephraim and Manasseh." And the Gileadites occupied the fords of the Jordan, along which Ephraim was to return. And when anyone from the number of Ephraim had arrived, fleeing, and had said, "I beg that you permit me to pass," the Gileadites would say to him, "Could you be an Ephraimite?" And if he said, "I am not," they would ask him, "Then say Shibboleth," which is translated as ear of grain, but he would answer Sibboleth, not being able to express the word for an ear of grain in the same letters. And immediately apprehending him, they would cut his throat, at the same crossing point of the Jordan. And in that time of Ephraim, 42,000 fell. And so Jephthah, the Gileadite, judged Israel for 6 years. And he died, and he was buried in his city in Gilead. After him, Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel. He had 30 sons, and the same number of daughters, whom he sent away to be given to husbands. And he accepted wives for his sons of the same number, bringing them into his house. And he judged Israel for 7 years. And he died, and he was buried in Bethlehem. After him succeeded Elon, a Zebulunite. And he judged Israel for 10 years. And he died, and he was buried in Zebulun. After him, Abdon, the son of Hillel, a Pirathonite, judged Israel. And he had 40 sons, and from them 30 grandsons, all riding upon 70 young donkeys. And he judged Israel for 8 years. And he died, and he was buried at Pirathon, in the land of Ephraim, on the mountain of Amalek. Judges 13. And again, the sons of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. And he delivered them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. Now there was a certain man from Zorah, and of the stock of Dan, whose name was Manoah, having a barren wife. And an angel of the Lord appeared to her, and he said, You are barren and without children. But you shall conceive and bear a son. Therefore, take care that you do not drink wine or strong drink. Neither shall you eat anything unclean. For you shall conceive and bear a son, whose head no razor shall touch. For he shall be a Nazirite of God, from his infancy and from his mother's womb. And he shall begin to free Israel from the hand of the Philistines. And when she had gone to her husband, she said to him, A man of God came to me, having the countenance of an angel, exceedingly terrible. And when I had inquired of him, who he was, and where he was from, and what name he was called, he was not willing to tell me. But he responded, Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. Take care that you do not drink wine or strong drink. And you shall not consume anything unclean. For the boy shall be a Nazirite of God from his infancy, from his mother's womb, even until the day of his death. And so Manoah prayed to the Lord, and he said, I beg you, Lord, that the man of God, whom you sent, may come again, and may teach us what we ought to do about the boy who is to be born. And the Lord heeded the prayer of Manoah, and the angel of the Lord appeared again to his wife, sitting in a field. But her husband Manoah was not with her. And when she had seen the angel, she hurried and ran to her husband. And she reported to him, saying, Behold, the man appeared to me, whom I had seen before. And he rose up and followed his wife. And going to the man, he said to him, Are you the one who spoke to my wife? And he responded, I am. And Manoah said to him, When will your word be fulfilled? What do you want the boy to do? Or from what should he keep himself? And the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, Concerning all the things about which I have spoken to your wife, she herself should abstain. And let her eat nothing from the vine. She may not drink wine or strong drink. She may consume nothing unclean. And let her observe and keep what I have instructed to her. And Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, I beg you to agree to my petition, and to let us prepare a kid from the goats. And the angel answered him, Even if you compel me, I will not eat from your bread. But if you are willing to offer a holocaust, offer it to the Lord. And Manoah did not know that he was an angel of the Lord. And he said to him, What is your name, so that, if your word is fulfilled, we may honor you? And he answered him, Why do you ask my name, which is a wonder? And so, Manoah took a kid from the goats, and libations, and he placed them upon a rock, as an offering to the Lord, who accomplishes wonders. Then he and his wife watched. And when the flame of the altar ascended to heaven, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame. And when Manoah and his wife had seen this, they fell prone on the ground. And the angel of the Lord no longer appeared to them. And immediately, Manoah understood him to be an angel of the Lord. And he said to his wife, We shall certainly die, since we have seen God. And his wife answered him, If the Lord wished to kill us, he would not have accepted the holocaust and the libations from our hands. He would not have revealed all these things to us, nor would he have told us the things that are in the future. And so she bore a son, and she called his name Samson. And the boy grew up, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to be with him in the camp of Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. Judges 14. Then Samson descended to Timnah. And seeing there a woman from the daughters of the Philistines, he went up, and he told his father and his mother, saying, I saw a woman in Timnah from the daughters of the Philistines. I ask that you take her to me as wife." And his father and mother said to him, "Is there not a woman among the daughters of your brothers, or among all my people, so that you would be willing to take a wife from the Philistines, who are uncircumcised?" And Samson said to his father, "Take this woman to me, for she has pleased my eyes." Now his parents did not know that the matter was done by the Lord, and that he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time, the Philistines had dominion over Israel. And so, Samson descended with his father and mother to Timnah. And when they had arrived at the vineyards of the town, he saw a young lion, savage and roaring, and it met him. Then the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon Samson, and he tore apart the lion, like a young goat being torn into pieces, having nothing at all in his hand. And he was not willing to reveal this to his father and mother. And he went down and spoke to the woman who had pleased his eyes. And after some days, returning to marry her, he turned aside so that he might see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees in the mouth of the lion, with a honeycomb. And when he had taken it in his hands, he ate it along the way. And arriving to his father and mother, he gave them a portion, and they also ate it. Yet he was not willing to reveal to them that he had taken the honey from the body of the lion. And so his father went down to the woman, and he made a feast for his son Samson. For so the young men were accustomed to do. And when the citizens of that place had seen him, they presented to him 30 companions to be with him. And Samson said to them, "I will propose to you a problem, which, if you can solve it for me within the 7 days of the feast, I will give you 30 shirts and the same number of tunics. But if you are not able to solve it, you shall give me 30 shirts and the same number of tunics." And they answered him, "Propose the problem, so that we may hear it." And he said to them, "Food went forth from that which eats, and sweetness went forth from that which is strong." And they were unable to solve the proposition for 3 days. And when the 7th day had arrived, they said to the wife of Samson, "Coax your husband, and persuade him to reveal to you what the proposition means. But if you are not willing to do so, we will burn you and your father's house. Or have you called us to the wedding in order to despoil us?" And she shed tears before Samson, and she complained, saying, "You hate me, and you do not love me. That is why you do not want to explain to me the problem, which you have proposed to the sons of my people." But he responded, "I was not willing to reveal it to my father and mother. And so, how can I reveal it to you?" Therefore, she wept before him during the 7 days of the feast. And at length, on the 7th day, since she had been troubling him, he explained it. And immediately she revealed it to her countrymen. And they, on the 7th day, before the sun declined, said to him, "What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?" And he said to them, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have uncovered my proposition." And so the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and he descended to Ashkelon, and in that place he struck down 30 men. And taking away their garments, he gave them to those who had solved the problem. And being exceedingly angry, he went up to his father's house. Then his wife took as a husband one of his friends and wedding companions. Judges 15. Then, after some time, when the days of the wheat harvest were near, Samson arrived, intending to visit his wife, and he brought her a kid from the goats. And when he wanted to enter her bedroom, as usual, her father prohibited him, saying, "I thought that you would hate her, and therefore I gave her to your friend. But she has a sister, who is younger and more beautiful than she is. And she may be a wife for you, instead of her." And Samson answered him, "From this day, there shall be no guilt for me against the Philistines. For I will do harm to you all." And he went out and caught 300 foxes. And he joined them tail to tail. And he tied torches between the tails. And setting these on fire, he released them, so that they might rush from place to place. And immediately they went into the grain fields of the Philistines, setting these on fire, both the grain that was already bound for carrying, and what was still standing on the stalk. These were completely burned up, so much so that the flame also consumed even the vineyards and the olive groves. And the Philistines said, "Who has done this thing?" And it was said, "Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he took away his wife, and gave her to another. He has done these things." And the Philistines went up and burned the woman as well as your father. And Samson said to them, "Even though you have done this, I will still fulfill vengeance against you, and then I will be quieted." And he struck them with a tremendous slaughter, so much so that, out of astonishment, they laid the calf of the leg upon the thigh. And descending, he lived in a cave of the rock at Edom. And so the Philistines, ascending into the land of Judah, made camp at the place which was later called Leli, that is, the jawbone, where their army spread out. And some from the tribe of Judah said to them, "Why have you ascended against us?" And they responded, "We have come to bind Samson, and to repay him for what he has done to us." Then 3,000 men of Judah descended to the cave of the rock at Edom. And they said to Samson, "Do you not know that the Philistines rule over us? Why would you want to do this?" And he said to them, "As they have done to me, so I have done to them." And they said to him, "We have come to bind you, and to deliver you into the hands of the Philistines." And Samson said to them, "Swear and promise to me that you will not kill me." They said, "We will not kill you, but we will deliver you tied." And they bound him with 2 new cords. And they took him from the rock at Edom. And when he had arrived at the place of the jawbone, and the Philistines, shouting aloud, had met him, the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him. And just as flax is usually consumed by a hint of fire, so were the ties with which he was bound broken and released. And finding a jawbone which was laying there, that is, the jawbone of a donkey, snatching it up, he put to death 1,000 men with it. And he said, "With the jawbone of a donkey, with the jaw of the colt of a donkey, I have destroyed them, and I have struck down 1,000 men." And when he had completed these words, singing, he threw the jawbone from his hand, and called the name of that place Ramath Leli, which is translated as the elevation of the jawbone. And being very thirsty, he cried out to the Lord, and he said, "You have given, to the hand of your servant, this very great salvation and victory. But see that I am dying of thirst, and so I will fall into the hands of the uncircumcised." And so the Lord opened a large tooth in the jawbone of the donkey, and water went out from it. And having drank it, his spirit was revived, and he recovered his strength. For this reason, the name of that place was called the spring called forth from the jawbone, even to the present day. And he judged Israel, in the days of the Philistines, for 20 years. Thank you for watching. If you like the content on this channel, please press subscribe, the like button or comment below. We'd love to get your tips. See you next time.